Standard 8B says to demonstrate knowledge of major figures, eras, developments, and turning points in world history with stress on Western civilization. Julius Caesar, the statesman and general Julius Caesar, 100 to 44 BC, expanded the Roman Republic through a series of battles across Europe before declaring himself dictator for life. He died famously on the steps of the Senate at the hands of political rivals. Julius Caesar is often remembered as one of the greatest military minds in history and credited with laying the foundation for the Roman Empire. Isaac Newton was an English physicist and mathematician. Sir Isaac Newton, most famous for his law of gravitation, was instrumental in the scientific revolution of the 17th century. Mahatma Gandhi, revered the world over for his nonviolent philosophy of passive resistance. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was known to many of his followers as Mahatma, or the Great Souled One. He began his activism as an Indian immigrant in South Africa in the early 1900s, and in the years following World War I became the leading figure in India's struggle to gain independence from Great Britain. Known for his ascetic lifestyle, he often dressed only in a loincloth and a shawl, and devout Hindu faith. Gandhi was imprisoned several times during his pursuit of non-cooperation and undertook a number of hunger strikes to protest his oppression of India's poorest classes, among other injustices. After partition in 1947, he continued to work toward peace between Hindus and Muslims. Gandhi was shot to death in Delhi in January 1948 by a Hindu fundamentalist. Elizabeth I was the long-ruling queen of England, governing the relative stability and prosperity for 44 years. The Elizabethan era is named for her. Rise and fall of Roman Empire. To many historians, the fall of the Roman Empire has always been viewed as the end of the ancient world and the onset of the Middle Ages. Often improperly called the Dark Ages, despite Petrarch's assertion, since much of the West had already fallen by the middle of the 5th century. When a writer speaks of the fall of his empire, he or she generally refers to the fall of the city of Rome. Although historians agree on the year of the fall, 476 CE, they often disagree on the causes. English historian Edward Gibbon, who wrote in the late 18th century CE, points to the rise of Christianity and its effect on the Roman psyche, while others believe the decline and fall was due in part to the influx of barbarians from the north and west. The Middle Ages were the years immediately after the fall of Rome. There was a period of readjustment where medieval society, overshadowed by Islam and was more concerned with keeping peace and empire building than nurturing centers of learning. Despite this, Charlemagne tried to establish a scholastic tradition, and the later Middle Ages saw advancements in the philosophy of science and the refinement of the scientific method. Far from being a backwards medieval society, overshadowed by Islam and Byzantium, scholasticism acted as a nucleus for the Renaissance and Enlightenment. The scientific revolution was not a revolution in the sense of a sudden eruption ushering a radical change, but a century-long process of discovery in which scientists built on the findings of those who had come before. From the scientific achievements of the ancient Greeks to the scholarly contributions of Islamic thinkers to the work of certain late medieval and early Renaissance Europeans, the expanding economy of the Age of Discovery represented another significant impulse. In that, the need for better navigation, timekeeping, and naval engineering pushed Europeans to pose new questions and, in turn, devise new methods to solve them. The Age of Revolutionary Change. The Age of Revolution is the period from approximately 1774 to 1848, in which a number of significant revolutionary movements occurred in many parts of Europe and the Americas. The period is noted for the change in government from absolutist monarchies to constitutionalist states and republics.